feed from Cali. Gophers wanted an and one, nothing there. Here comes 9 to noon's big. Anybody wants to play radio show related basketball? Hey, kitty, kitty. Hey, kitty, kitty. We got our big. Who's your big? This is our big. He's Parker Fox, formerly of the Golden Gophers basketball team. Once a Gopher, always a Gopher. Sky Yuma at Parker Fox 24 via the X machine. And he's with us now. What am I holding in my right hand, young man?
Oh, it's a big old bracket.
Yep. It's NCAA tournament, 2025 men's NCAA tournament bracket. And who do you like to win the NCAA tournament and why? And talk slowly so I can like mark in the initials or whatever for these teams.
Well, there's a couple. I start in the Big Ten, and I don't know. This is weird to say, but this Wisconsin team is really good. Yeah, just their ability to execute offensively, get the ball to multiple sides of the floor.
Last time I saw Wisconsin, the officiating against you guys was awful, and you were in your feelings.
Yeah,
so if you're not in your feelings in your final game at Williams, and the officiating's better, then I think you guys beat them.
Yeah, but that's basketball, right? That's why you play the game, and I think that rivalry, it's always a close one. But I think this Wisconsin team, led by John Tonji, who's arguably Big Ten Player of the Year type good. I know some people had him as their player. Ultimately, it went to Braden Smith of Purdue. John Blackwell, sophomore, who's, I think, almost NBA ready. I think he's their most NBA ready talent on their team. And then you add that with their two bigs in Nolan Winter and Steven Crowell, both Minnesota guys, one from Eastview and one from Lakeville. So, you got to support the Minnesota love there. But I think it's a team that just really, really gets the ball from side to side. They make their free throws. They're one of the best free throw shooting team in the country. They make their threes and they shoot a lot of them, and then they defend. So I think that's a team out of the Big Ten that I would keep my eye on. And then when you talk about the two powerhouses, I really think it's Auburn's to lose. I think, Auburn's, in my opinion, the best team in this field. They're experienced. They're old. They have an average age of over 23 years old when it comes to their roster. They got a bunch of graduate students, a bunch of sixth-year guys. They got my Player of the Year and Janai Broom. Mix that with Tahad Pettiford, Chad Baker-Mazzaro, a couple other guys. They're really deep. They're really loaded. And their path is, in my opinion, the easiest. They did some interesting things with the brackets this year, and they mixed up some of these Big Tens to give guys different weird seeds. I don't know if you've seen much about this, but
I've seen the seeds.
Yeah, just the seeding is just weird in this year's tournament. So,
really?
I'm looking at what team do I think is
weird. How? I mean, should Wisconsin not have been a 3?
I don't think so.
It was too high, right?
Yeah, it was too high.
That's what I thought, and you know more about it than me.
Yeah, I think so as well. And then, Purdue gets in at a 4 seed, I think Purdue was, and I feel like that's a little high.
Big Ten respect, though.
Big Ten respect and SEC respect as well. SEC got 14 teams, which is
14 teams.
14 teams, yes. Yeah.
I mean, who was the last one to sneak in? Vanderbilt?
Vanderbilt snuck in at a 10, I think. And then, so they got a lot of teams coming out of that conference. So they're showing the respect to that league. But like I said, I think it's Auburn's to lose. I like Wisconsin. I like Alabama too. Alabama's a team that really scores the ball. So if you're going to want to play with Alabama, you really got to score the rock. There's so many, you know how it is this time of year with this stuff. And then you look at a team like Duke, Cooper Flagg, arguably the best player in the country. Yeah. He's a National Player of the Year type good. So, he was out with an ankle injury in the ACC tournament. Their team still went on and won the ACC tournament without him. So I think he's a guy that, adding him back to their roster helps them. But I don't know. I'm just looking forward to watching hoops, and there's going to be a lot of it in the next coming weeks.
Well, do you start now with the most key portion of the equation? And what I mean is starting now by looking for True TV, Oxygen, and the 700 Club.
Of course.
Find those channels now so you can be squared away.
Somewhere, right? There's somewhere. You got to start nowadays. It's like you got to download 8 apps to make this thing work.
The last time you watched True TV, Gonzaga probably was playing on it, right?
Probably at 11 o'clock at night. They were probably playing San Francisco, the Dons.
Seriously.
I think that's. But you got the March Madness app. You got the March Madness app that you can go and download and get all the games through there. So that's the way I'll do it.
Okay. So Wisconsin, Scotty with this path, though. Okay, beating 14 Montana, sure. Then catches BYU or Virginia Commonwealth. Come on, it's okay. And then after that, you'll get probably Alabama.
Yeah,
I know you like Alabama.
Tough one. Yep, I know Wisco's got that matchup there with Alabama. That's a tough one.
Well, that's a tough one. But I mean, if you win that and you get into the Elite Eight, well, then you get Duke maybe with a wounded flag. Damn, man, they laid that thing out for the Scotties.
They laid it out for them, and I think Wisconsin also earned that too. They played really well through the Big Ten tournament. Like we said, they probably went a little high with them, but I think that recency bias kind of got them their respect, and it's just a team that I've seen playing against them. Out of the Big Ten, I think there's a lot of really good teams in the Big Ten. I think there are some teams that can make a run. Illinois is a team that can really shoot the ball, so when they're hot, they can make a run. Purdue is Purdue. They do everything so sound, so structured, so well. Oregon's a team that plays really hard. They got a lot of scores. Jackson Shellstad is a legit point guard for that team.
Didn't you guys beat them at Williams?
Yeah, we did.
On a Saturday, right?
Yeah, we beat them at Williams.
That's sweet.
Also Michigan, so 2 teams in the tournament, got them at home. But I think just looking at the Big Ten as a whole, there's teams that they can surprise. They're going to be able to be teams that surprise some people, and I think my big surprise is going to be Wisconsin. I said it after we played them.
I like that.
At our place, and I think they're just a team that does little things right, and I don't think Coach Greg Gard gets enough credit too for his success there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Big Ten has to offer in the tournament.
Pete Fox, one half of Howlin' with the Homies. That's a Timberwolves fan line show. The T-Wolves absolutely will have playoff basketball, so we'll be howling with the homies at some point. You mentioned Michigan. UC San Diego supposedly is a chic long shot. Hooks Michigan Thursday night. How did the Tritons become a chic long shot? And how good? I mean, this is not San Diego State,
no.
Which pops up every so often.
Right? Yeah.
This is not Pepperdine, which used to pop up every so often. This is UC San Diego. I mean, I don't think they've ever had a player in the NBA.
It's a good UC San Diego too.
Well, Michigan's dead.
Michigan, I don't know.
Michigan dead game 1. Michigan dead.
It's hard to say because
I
it's
have no
like
idea.
I think Michigan is such a two-headed horse with Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden.
Tell me more.
Danny Wolf transferred from Yale. He's
great basketball players from Yale. Usually get you to the Final Four, no doubt.
Smart players, right?
Yep.
He's a double-double guy, 13 and 10. A guy, he handles the ball, runs a lot of pick and roll stuff through him.
Kid giggled. We're helping him right now. Time for
I guess, but this
Coach
UC
out, season over.
Yeah, this UCSD team, man,
doesn't know what's next.
You're killing me.
Yeah. I did Taylor just paying the rent.
I did just Google UCSD NBA players.
Is there any?
Well, this website, it's Real GM.
Oh,
so
yeah.
They aggregate all kinds of stuff.
I was guessing.
And then it just simply said, no players found.
Oh my gosh. Above average at that.
So that answer, we got to the bottom of that.
Thank you. But this is a chic long shot. I read
You like this team?
I read up on it for 15 minutes. I went to like 2 sites, and it was both the Tritons.
2.5 point spread.
Yeah. Are they the Tritons?
I think they're the Tritons.
Yeah. What's a Triton?
I don't know.
I found 2 definitions.
Some Aquaman stuff.
That's one of them.
Isn't that a trident?
Yeah. That's
no,
true.
that's the thing they hold. The Triton holds the trident.
Oh,
I think the Triton's like the pokey thing.
So it's a large
Triton.
mollusk.
Triton, let's see, is a Greek god of the sea, the son of Poseidon and Amphitrite. Triton lived with his parents in a golden palace on the bottom of the sea. Later he is often depicted as having a conch shell he would blow like a trumpet. All right, so that's the false god definition of Triton. The other definition is a large moon of Neptune. It's the largest of Neptune's 13 moons. Triton is unusual because it's the only large moon in our solar system that orbits in the opposite direction of its planet's rotation, a retrograde orbit. Which Triton do you think they are? I think they're the false god.
Looking at the logo here, I'm going to go with the false god.
Yeah, they're out.
He holds that trident.
Go Wolverines.
Yeah, there you go.
Jalen Rose, Chris Webber. Yeah, just dust them all off. Go Michigan.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh, yeah. I'm pulling for, so how do you say Broom's first name?
Janai.
Yeah, I'm pulling for Auburn because Janai Broom and his father.
Yes.
We have received confirmation. Janai Broom, the best player on Auburn, and his father listened to Vikings games from afar, like the NFL app, NFL.com or something.
Yes.
My man averages 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks a game. bona fide stud, this Janai Broom, isn't he?
Yeah, we should have him on joining us here at some point in the near future. Reached out to him,
Really?
and he's all about it. He mentioned your name, and he was like, "Oh, my dad listened to PA growing up my whole life, and all this and that." Obviously, not living in Minnesota, but being a Vikings fan, they get access to the Vikings radio network and the whole deal. And they're
I'd
super
like to
pumped.
have you in here if and or when Janai Broom calls 9 to noon.
We'll make that work, and obviously it would be fun to have him on.
Really?
As their run here happens in March, and I think they're a team that's going to play deep into April. And I would, I see them as a team that plays April 7th. They can't.
He should do it right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
You got a cell phone number? Let's cold call him. Janai, who's this? You tell me. Janai Broom inside the 20, cuts to the left of the 15, and he's loose. Touchdown, Broom. Maybe we'll get a 6-minute conversation out of him.
You would love that.
Any idea how he and his dad became big Vikings fans?
Don't know the whole story on that. Let's leave that up to him.
More reason to call him.
Yeah, more reason to call. So I think obviously he's arguably the best basketball player in the country this year, National Player of the Year type of candidate, good, and he's one of our own. So
over Flag.
I don't know. You look at the analytics and you probably go with Flag with that, but you know how it is with some of the freshmen versus a senior and all that kind of thing. So we'll see. The committee's going to have a tough decision to make there.
I watch almost every Kentucky Wildcats game with the Preacher. It's his favorite team. Yeah. And they've had some injury problems of late. They lost their point guard for a couple of key games. Then they lost another guy. They had a couple of freshmen who were from the state of Kentucky come in and help them win a game. So shockingly, Pope has a lot of talent on the team, despite Calipari taking a fair amount via the portal to Arkansas. But I'm quasi an elite Kentucky Wildcats mind because of the Preacher, dear friend of mine. They're a 3. Are you kidding me? No, Kentucky.
Yeah.
They're a 3 seed.
Is that too high for them?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I've watched them so many times. I mean, seriously, it's not even a boom or bust bit with them where it's like, holy cow, they just beat Auburn. Yeah. Wow. Then they lost to Vanderbilt the next game. It's not even really that. They're okay. The
brutality of the SEC too, as well. I think, you going on the road in the SEC, it's hostile environments, but I think at the same time, I think you're right about Kentucky.
Way too high.
I think so as well. I don't think Troy is a team that's going to be like, coming in and upsetting them as a 14-3 matchup. But then you look at that second round and you have the winner of Texas and Xavier playing Illinois. I think, like I mentioned, that Illinois team is a team that can really get hot, really spark it. They came into our building and I think that ended up beating us by 30, just on sheer shot making ability. So that's a team that I kind of see coming into that second round there, that can upset that Kentucky team.
P. Fox, who is the best non-conference team you played this year that's in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, we got a couple of them. We played against that Yale team early in the year. They brought us to single digits. They got a guard named John Poulikinis, lefty, can really shoot it, comes down off pin screens. They got a really good guard, can't remember his name, and they got a big as well, who's a really talented player. But just don't love Yale's first round matchup against my former teammate Pharrell Payne in Texas A&M.
Wow, he's good,
very good. Yeah, he beast inside. Yeah. Texas A&M I think they have too many athletes. They play too fast for Yale to keep up with them.
Where did that little guard you had last year?
Texas Tech. They're also a 3 seed. Elijah Hawkins. Yeah, Elijah Hawkins.
My man had a little boom and bust to him, but his crossover dribble was terrific. And when he got hot, I had the women and children.
Oh my goodness, yeah, and they got UNC Wilmington first round. I think that's a team that Texas Tech is going to feel confident there. And then I have them in the second round playing against Drake after they upset Missouri.
Wasn't Hawkins like leading the nation in dimes?
Yeah, he led the nation assists. Set a single game record for us in the Gopher uniform with 17 assists. Yes, he was a guy that we missed. Missed out on him leaving us. But that Drake team that they're going to play in the second round, I love that Drake team. Ben McCollum, head coach, guy that I played at the Division II level for 4 years at Northwest Missouri State.
You were at Northern?
Was at Northern. We had a lot of battles. They beat us in the Sweet 16 to go to the Elite Eight on a buzzer beater. So he's a coach I respect. And then they got an all talent kid in Sturts over there. So they're really good, that Drake team. We also played Omaha. Omaha's a 15 seed. They're going to play. In. They got in. They're going to play St. John's. That St. John's team is dangerous as well. I think Rick Pitino's. Everybody's got his opinion on Rick Pitino, but I think he's arguably the best coach ever in college basketball. So I think he's
Really?
going to have. He's
No,
up there.
Krzyzewski.
Okay.
That's the Belichick, isn't it?
I mean, I think it's if you're in New York,
Dean Smith?
you have an argument there. There's some
Yeah.
arguments, but I think Pitino is. There's some stats.
John Wooden?
I know you're bringing up names, now.
Bruh, you're at the bottom of the superfecta with Rick Pitino.
You think
You're
so?
fourth.
Yeah.
Well, Krzyzewski.
Is he a Mount Rushmore? Is Pitino a Mount Rushmore?
I'd have to think about that.
Dean Smith.
Yeah.
Coach K.
Dan Munson.
I always love that one.
But anyway, speaking of all this, have you spoken with Ben since he was let go?
Yeah, haven't yet in person. Obviously, just given the circumstances of the situation, we got home off the plane at about 12:31.
And then boom, it hits.
Yeah, and then we got a text by the time I got back to my house. So.
Yeah, that's unprofessional the way they handled that.
Yeah, it stinks. I think, and two, you battle all year and you have a close group and we spend every minute together with each other, and it's just like in a matter of a couple hours, it all gets flipped and it all gets shut off. And so I haven't spoken with him in person, shot over him a text, just, appreciated him. I think I was the only guy that was there for all 4 of his years. The only one that was a player for all 4 years. So I think the first thing I just wanted to express my gratitude.
Yeah.
It was always a dream for me to play for the Gophers, and he was the one that allowed me to fulfill that. So super grateful. Obviously wish I personally and him would have had, better years and been able to do more for the state. And I wear that on my shoulders as well. So I think at the end of the day, I think just for me, just expressing that gratitude and being extremely grateful for the opportunity I was given and wishing him the best of luck to whatever's next.
And I'm glad you've utilized this platform to do so.
Yes, thank you.
It's more impactful than social media.
Yeah.
Because you can say it, you can hear or feel the emotions.
Exactly. And I haven't posted anything on social media. I've stayed away from that. All the media people asking me for, comments, but at the same time wanted to come on here first and let that be known and know that, this Gopher program, wherever direction they go with it, I'm still going to be a supporter of it, and I'm proud to be a Gopher and want to be a Gopher for the rest of my life. So I'm grateful for it.
I don't want to put you in any weird spots because that was really the only question I was going to ask you about it. But now that you mentioned Pharrell Payne, who I remember the name, but I didn't know where he had gone.
Yeah.
Hawkins, I knew he left to a Texas school, couldn't remember it. But you daggered it. And those two are in the NCAA tournament. So I just, kind of, and if you don't have a comment, that's cool. But I just kind of wonder from afar how much of the onus and or responsibility falls on the coach when players leave and go elsewhere. So, and then like, I would never know this. And you and I have conversations about different things than me being like, so, hey, what really happened with Payne and Hawkins and why did that's not my business, man. And I don't put my friends in positions like that. But I mean, they left. So that's the whole thing with NIL and transfer portal, man.
Yeah.
And I talked to PJ Fleck about it extensively a couple of years ago. Is you have to be recruiting during the season.
Oh yeah.
So it's not only are you recruiting on the recruiting trail, sitting at in Anniston, Alabama, at a kitchen table, mom spaghetti, trying to get PFOX to come up here. Here's the NIL, and here's how we think it's going to work for you playing time.
Yeah.
All of that. But then, correct me if I'm wrong, if you catch wind that, the NIL is not great for these two players, needs to be better, probably would be better elsewhere, and they're thinking about leaving, well, then you have to recruit while you're game planning, while you're traveling, while you're nursing injuries to your best players, just trying to patch them up and get them to go. That's a tough lot in life, man.
And to add on to that, you don't have the number to throw at a kid that another school has the number to throw at a kid. And I don't think that's a surprise that Minnesota's behind when it comes to that. And, obviously you can make 1,000 excuses about, why it didn't work or why you're not able to retain players. But at the end of the day, if your numbers are right there to compete, it's going to make it a whole lot easier. So, every guy has their own decision. And that's the other thing too, where the NCAA has made it so much easier to up and leave. You can up and leave every year. It's free agency every year. There's no rules. There's no regulations. So the NCAA has made it easy. And then two, you double down with not being able to put up numbers that some of these other schools can put up. It makes it almost a no-brainer for kids. So,
all right. Well, it's like the what's next plan. I'm not asking you to dagger that, but I saw a name on social media.
Yeah.
I thought this guy was a blue liner for the Colorado Avalanche Nick Medved. Seriously, I'm like, Nick Med. I thought the trading deadline was gone. They got another blue liner for the Avalanche. Colorado State coach from Minnesota, played for Roseville in the early 90s. So that's like the only name that I've seen. How much do you watch? How far do you believe Izzo can take the Spartans?
Yeah, I think they can go.
What's that nice guard's name?
Oh, they got a couple. They got Trey Holloman, Minnesota kid, went to Cretin-Durham Hall.
No.
So, he's a guy.
The other one?
Jaden Akins is their 2 guard.
Bingo.
Okay, he's your guy. Akins is your guy.
I mean, at least when I watched him against you guys, he was.
Lefty shooter. Jaden Akins he's a talented player. Michigan State, they run the court hard. They play really hard. They get out in transition. They run their stuff to a T. They don't have guys that are going to go out of their own way and isolate and make their own plays. They're going to play team basketball. They're obviously going to, get a first-round win over Bryant. I think they're going to play Marquette in the second round. They're going to win that. I think their path is very friendly for them until they get to the Elite Eight versus Auburn. But I think that's about, in my opinion, as far as Michigan State goes.
Yep.
Just because they don't have they don't have that older guy that can go and get you a bucket when you need it like they had last year in Tyson Walker. They have Jason Richardson's son, Jace Richardson, who's kind of their ace right now, getting to his left hand. But other than that, I think
Jason was a baller.
Oh, was he a problem?
Well, there was a time he would come flying down the key. He was one of the best dunkers in the NBA. I mean, that's 42-inch vertical there.
At least, yeah. So I think that's about as far as I think that Michigan State team goes. But obviously, it's Izzo, it's March. He knows how to formulate a game plan against anybody. And when Michigan is out and running and they're playing hard defense and they're in transition, that Michigan State team is really talented.
All right. So, lastly, I know you have to go, but cool one for the Wolves tonight.
Yes.
Indiana's here. Pacers are good. We've won 8 consecutive. Still can't jettison the play-in because the Warriors have won 7 in a row. What are you liking with the how now that you have time to start watching? And it's clear happiness and hope have returned to the Bay Area. I mean, Steph, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond works. It works. That's the only way to put it. 14-1 since they got Jimmy. I wonder how far the Warriors can take this thing. What do you think about that?
Hitting on that Warriors team, I think it's just an awesome recipe that they created over there. Obviously, Steph Curry, in my opinion, is the best point guard of all time, top 5 player. You have to double team him in some sense, especially if he's hot and he's coming off of pin down screens and he's running around the court.
When are you going to be in studio next? Magic Johnson. Okay, I mean, we're
completely disagree.
I'm great. I can't wait to come up with 10 of them and we'll just go back and forth.
Completely disagree.
That's going to be the bomb.
Shooting's the separator, PA. Shooting's the separator. Nobody's ever done it like Steph Curry's done it.
Right. That's very fair. But the next time is not now. So keep talking about the other stuff.
Okay. And then you're double teaming Steph Curry, and you leave one-on-one basketball with Jimmy Butler, who's a phenomenal one-on-one player.
Yeah.
Jimmy's got so much left in the tank. Yeah, there's drama with his game, but Jimmy's a tremendous basketball player, a guy that's earned it, a hardworking dude. Yeah. And then you add Draymond, who's just kind of the maestro. He's dotting everybody up. He's playing hard. But to talk about talk about our Wolves.
Julius Randle's hitting threes.
I really love where we're at. And I love our rotation too. I love that Finchie's been comfortable to go to 9-10. I think this time of the year is such a critical time where you're seeing these little soft tissue injuries pop up, little things coming into fruition. But I think at the same time, this Wolves team is deep, and they're deeper than people understand. Even when you talk about Terrence Shannon, Jaron Clark, you talk about Rob Dillingham getting minutes here or there when Mike isn't playing. I think this is a team that's really deep, and I think that depth is going to help them into the playoffs when they're fully healthy, when they're able to go into Golden State maybe in a second round game of something like that and go compete for 7 games. I like our depth and I like our experience.
All right. That was fantastic. 9 to noon looks forward to much more with Parker Fox 24. It's open anytime you want to come in studio and talk about anything. But for now, then we'll plan on next week. And we greatly appreciate you. Thank you.
Love you, Pierre.
Love you too. And for Parker Fox, we got one for the road.
Vikes Bites.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. It is time for Vikes Bites. Vikes Bites always presented by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. You can shop online, Thousand Hills. It's a Clearwater, Minnesota company. Matt and everybody there, they make delicious, nutrient-dense beef products. You can learn about regenerative agriculture, again, in shopping online. This box of meat shows up at your doorstep. That's pretty sweet. Or you can go to Coburn's, Co-op's, Kowalski's locations. Just had Parker in studio here. Guess what? Gopher Athletics, Thousand Hills are proud sponsors of those in maroon and gold. The players are eating Thousand Hills. That's pretty sweet. So thank you for supporting Vikes Bites. Now, free agency as we enter week 2 here. Some news over the weekend. The Minnesota Vikings have traded for this guy.
The 49ers have thrown 8 times and run 3 on this possession. Make it 4. Toss right, Jordan Mason. He has a seam inside the 5. Touchdown, San Francisco. And Jordan Mason was untouched. A 10-yard touchdown run for Jordan Mason. He has 2 this year. And now it's 2013 Minnesota.
Are you ready for some Jordan Mason madness?
First and goal, 4-yard line. Mason alone back. Purdy going to give him a handoff off the left side. Touchdown! San Francisco!
J.P. Mason off tackle to the 49ers sideline and 2 outstanding blocks that if you don't knock Mason Madness off his track, he's walking in.
So Jordan Mason, we got to know him a bit. You heard that highlight just before that one where he was getting into the end zone. 20 carries, I believe 100 on the ground, including a rushing touchdown against the Vikings week 2. 2024, his most productive season. Had nearly 800 yards rushing, 3 rushing TDs, 10, 12 catches, 11. There we go, 11 in particular for 91. So not the pass-catching back, or at least that's not how the Niners used him at a high level. But the undrafted cat, 2022 out of Georgia Tech, found his way behind that offensive line and Shanahan's offense to be very productive. And now that's your tandem, it appears. It's going to be Aaron Jones, re-upped as well, the 2 and 20 with 13 guaranteed. And I believe maybe it was a second-round tender. There's a reason I believe the Vikings, after trading a 6th-round pick from next year's draft to acquire Mason, that they did give him a 2-year contract worth up to $12 million. 7 of it, I believe, is guaranteed. And so that's going to be your tandem. It's Jones into Mason, and then Ty Chandler. Still very much a part of this conversation as well. As it's special teams, return work for him. He's still a member of the Vikings. How does that change the draft conversation? 24, maybe that's not a running back spot any longer. I thought it'd be 24 or 97. Well, then the weekend came and we got Jordan Mason. So welcome to the purple for him. PA, as I had... And you laid it out perfectly with him early on in the elongated opening segment as well, with Jordan Mason in particular. But Vikings fans, not just excited about this, but excited really towards the end of last week. We were going through the depth chart, and we heard Eric Wilson, former Viking, then Packer, now Viking again. Eric Wilson, linebacker. Maybe he fills out that linebacker depth. But Rondale Moore, the former Purdue Boilermaker, had a few seasons and was kind of growing, not budding superstar by any means, but his rookie season had a ton of return work, both in the punt and kick return game. And you saw kind of his yards from scrimmage creeping up year after year. We played some highlights. Rondale Moore, at least a couple of TDs against the Vikings in those 3 seasons with the Cardinals, but then goes to Atlanta and tears up his knee in camp last August. So he was out all 2024. He had a full visit with the Vikings at the end of last week. And then we heard nothing, and it was cricket. So Rondale Moore, potentially in addition to a wide receiver core that is appearing to be unfinished. And then Jeff Okudah, former Lions corner, and also I believe most recently with Houston, he started his visit this morning. So a couple more names. Kwesi ain't finished. The Kwesi train is still full speed ahead as we enter the second week of free agency.
Jeff Okudah, when he came out of Ohio State, was dead set to be what Sauce Gardner is now. But he endured, I shouldn't say that because they play different games. Okudah, he'll bust you up at the line of scrimmage. He's a very strong young man. But he had a series of injuries that really derailed who he was supposed to be. So his career has been that of the underwhelming variety. However, they're interested, and it ties into the draft because, I've seen a lot via social media, which for me would be one facet, Twitter. And, and I agree with this to a certain extent where it's like, all right, well, now with Mason, the pilfering of Mason from the Bay Area, you have your 1-2 set at running back. Jones coming off a career high with the carries. Aaron Jones on third down, by the way, when he's healthy, is better than Jordan Mason because he's just more of a threat in the catch game. But both are adroit at picking up blitzes. Both are adroit at encountering a defensive player when they're coming full speed untouched. Mason's bigger and thicker than Aaron Jones. The way I put it in the opening segment was think Alexander Madison, but shiftier and 5 pounds heavier. That's Jordan Mason. I still can't believe that we got him and just the roots and what was given to get him. And again, nobody's trying to make him sound like an all-pro, but you can run Jordan Mason 25 times a game, 5 consecutive games, and have a chance to win every single game. And with backup running backs, that's generally not the case. So that was a fantastic move. But, so now you got that, and you have the people they re-signed here, and you have the 2 offensive linemen, the 2 defensive linemen, and so on and so on and so on. And, so the common refrain is now you truly can take best player available at 24, which I mostly believe to be true, but the cornerback situation still is of the needy variety.
Yeah.
The safety situation potentially is still of the needy variety. But the way the theme that has been developed this offseason with the offensive linemen and the defensive linemen, I make offensive linemen favored for the first-round pick for the Minnesota Vikings.
I like that.
And I'm not even sure my man will play this year. I mean, it may be Blake Brandell playing left guard. But when you have your left tackle, most likely won't start the season as a starter, so you get School from Tampa Bay. But he's off an injury. The center had 3 different injuries last year, and it was debilitating. And the right guard broke a bone and only played 4 games. And O'Neal's in the second half of his career. So, I mean, now Rouse and Juergens are your main backups. And that's cool because, they know what's going on in the Covenant with the way Kevin O'Connell wants it called. But now I've really talked myself into offensive lineman at 24 because...
Well, I like the competition at that spot, too, with Brandell. I like that.
And the identity of the team is that of offense, complemented by the defense. So, yes, if you're going to fortify the trenches, if they took defensive tackle... this guy from Oregon, I can never remember his name, Kendrick something or whatever. I mean, that's the one around there. Or a guy from the only steam I have is there's a 3-technique, a defensive tackle from I think South Carolina, who is going to be the chic riser first round of the draft. There are going to be several, like Jahmyr Gibbs taking a 10. Holy cow, where'd that come from? I ain't saying like that from the high 20s up to 10. But there are a lot of defensive tackles who do a lot of different things, but they're all fast and they're all strong. There's a cat from South Carolina that I like a lot, asked about him and heard some good things. So if they were to take one of those 2 or an offensive lineman at 24, I think that'd be great. But I don't think that, they have it's best player available, yes, but they do have needs. And if you're going to pump this much attention and money into your offensive line, with a rookie second-year quarterback who's never played a regular season game at the helm, and then you bring in a new running back to complement the current running back, and your top 2 receivers are really good, and your top tight end is top 7. It behooves you to fortify that offensive line.
Yes,
if you have the opportunity with the right guys, if they happen to be available, and I think they will, because I think people are going to get real running back and defensive tackle happy in the first 23 picks, and they're going to start tripping out that they're going to lose somebody they want. So if you have identified somebody who can help fortify your offensive line, and you think you have the ability to trade back and get another pick or so, then I'm a fan of that. But I make offensive linemen favored for the Vikings' first pick. Defensive tackle, defensive lineman, second choice. I'm going to say probably cornerback or defensive back third, but we still need a little work on the bottom of the trifecta.
That's all the time I got. It's Vikes Bites. It's presented by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef, PA.
9 to noon puts a wrap on the show around the corner. You're listening to KFAN.
I can't wait until tomorrow.
Off what you just said to me between segments.
Yeah.
How am I going to put this? Okay. Started last week with 9 to noon sharing with you the Common Thread song with Aaron Rodgers' desperate desire to play for the Minnesota Vikings. Is Mick Jagger on lead vocals for the Rolling Stones? It's called You Can't Always Get What You Want. So that was established on Thursday. And then today, just for those caring about it still, thinking about it still, like the producer of 9 to noon who hit me with a couple of things between segments, is all I can share with you and everybody else would be the not everybody handles being told no the same way. Okay, so those of the narcissistic variety, those who search their names on all social media channels to see, remember this conversation a few years ago? Hasn't changed. So searching names on social media channels just to see what people are saying about me.
Oh, yeah.
Me. And finally, if a majority of the leaks were coming from the Rodgers camp, what in the hell behooves them to text anybody and say, we got beat? Thanks for listening to 9 to noon. Let's put a wrap on the show.
Time for 2 more. Good stuff.
The game is over.
Well, it's Monday, and we're back to steam chasing. Kwesi turning some heads, trading for Jordan Mason. Decision makers in a room, back and forth they're pacing. Decided on the QB other teams may be facing, or are they? It could be settled. Fans just waiting for some finality to be peddled. The whole thing is making purple-loving people go wacko. Just get it over with already and announce Joe Flacco. I'm loving the melodrama. We'll be fine. Quit acting like this is real-world trauma. I, for one, am optimistic for multiple reasons. And until further notice, it's McCarthy season. And for now, we do bid you adieu. Common intent of B will be with you in a few. If you're curious how he shot this morning, he'll let you know. Tomorrow, we're back with the Howl. Fresh off their 9th in a row.
Yeah, I might punch him in the face.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.